What is up, everyone? It's me, Mr. Underhooks MMA, and I am back today with a tier list, you guys. It's been a while since I did one of these, but I think you guys are gonna enjoy this one. This one's pretty interesting. So, wasting no time, let's get right into it. This is the tier list for fighters I would elect as U.S. president. Now, I'm not gonna exactly follow the rules where with U.S. presidents where you gotta be born in the U.S. and have to be 35 and stuff. This is just to my own, um, I don't know, discretion on who I think would be able to perform the best in a presidential spot. So yeah, starting it off, we're gonna go to the B tier. All right. And my first candidate for the B tier is Paulo Costa. You might be wondering why is Paulo Costa gonna be here? Well, I think Paulo Costa doesn't really know what he's doing in an office or whatever. That doesn't matter. I feel like this dude is gonna just gonna be kind of funny, you know? People are gonna be laughing at his broken English, how he doesn't understand proper grammar and stuff. He'll be, I don't know, talking about his secret juice, and his presidential speeches and stuff. And I think this guy will really have the people eating out of his hand. You know what I'm voice crack. You know what I'm saying? I think people just like him as the president, and you know, I think he'd be a pretty he might get elected for a second term. I think he'd be pretty popular. So yeah, that's my first entry at the B tier, Paulo Costa. The next guy I'm gonna talk about is going into the C tier. Where is he? There he is. In the C tier, I'm gonna put Sean Strickland. Now, you're either thinking, A, why is this guy on this list? Or B, why is he not higher on this list? So I'll answer both questions. A, he's on this list because, he's got some core American beliefs. He believes in the Second Amendment. He believes in people's rights, all that good stuff. But the reason he's in the C tier is because I feel like this dude would go about a terrible way of, getting his beliefs through. Um, I think he'd just kind of be cursing and saying racial slurs and stuff. You know, the Strickland stuff, right? He'd I think there'd be either one side where people love him or the other side where people hate him. That's not exactly how you want to be as a president. I would know. I was elected class president in fourth grade, or no, third grade. So I know what I'm talking about when it comes to this stuff. I'm 100% trusted. Oh, did not mean to pull that up. You guys couldn't even see that. Um, I'm on a 100% trusted source. I know what I'm talking about in this. But yeah, Strickland, he'd make some really big enemies and really big allies for the U.S. I feel like he would destroy what little relationship there is between us and Russia. But then he'd make like the most random relationship ever in another country with like, I don't know, it's a random country, Andorra or something. Just some random country that no one's ever heard of. But yeah, I feel like that's what Strickland would do. So now, I'm gonna do another guy in the A tier. Hear me out for this one. Beneil Dariush. This guy has had quite a fall off in the UFC. But that doesn't mean. Maybe that means he should just stop fighting MMA and become a government official. I think he should run for president. He might have been born in like Syria or something, so I don't think he actually could. But I feel like this dude would do a good job. He's a very level-headed guy, knows what he's talking about. He's smart, wise. You can see he's got gray hair. Um, he's pretty mature. He's just a good dad, and I feel like he would do really good in the spot of being a president. Man, this video is gonna be forever. I gotta kind of speed it up. So yeah, Benil Dariush in the A tier. Next, we're gonna go for a D tier entry. Ilya Taporia. So this guy, he's on the list not because I think he'd be a good president, but that's why he's in the D tier because I think he would be terrible. Honestly, I feel like this dude would just be I think he'd turn the U.S. into like a dictatorship, and everyone would be like starving under his like regime and stuff. People would be like dying, and he'd just be like, "Guys, what are you even doing? I don't care." You know. I think he would just be wreaking absolute havoc on the economy and be laughing about it. I think he would be kind of enjoying himself, and just being an absolutely crazy dude. So yeah, that's why Ilya Taporia is in the D tier. Next up, I'm gonna go back to the A tier. Um, I mean, maybe he should be in the B tier, but I'm putting him in the A. Conor McGregor. This dude also kind of like Paulo Costa, just a little step above. He would do terrible actually in office with his ideas and stuff. But Connor's a very kind of funny, charismatic dude, and I think people would love him, you know? I think he would like a lot of people would like him. They'd think, "Oh, this guy's funny. I'll vote for him," you know? Um he's probably wouldn't have some terrible ideas. I think he'd have some okay ones. And the reason he's higher than Costa is because he would have more like star power than him and more popularity. So that would probably get him more votes. And he speaks better English than Costa, so people would understand him. Like with Costa, I feel like people would be like, "Yo, what the heck is this guy saying?" But Connor, his Irish accent's a little thick, but he's still chilling. He's still very understandable. So yeah, Connor is going in the A tier. Next, we're gonna go back to the D tier. Bryce Mitchell. These are kind of like mirror matches, if you understand what I'm saying. Connor is like this little bit of a better version than Costa, and Bryce is a little bit worse of a version than Strickland. The same thing with Bryce. He's got some good values. He's just a farm boy. Just cares about his family and his farm. Just wants to make a living. But he's got some really weird ideas too, like with the flat Earth and stuff like that. And Bryce is just kind of babbling a lot of nonsense. He's a little crazy in the head, so I don't think he would really win the election. But I think there would be a little group of people that would vote for him. Probably like all in the center of the U.S., like Kansas, Arkansas. Not exactly center, but like Kentucky, Tennessee, all those states. I feel like Bryce would get quite a few votes from those states just because of the stuff he says and how crazy this dude is. So yeah, Bryce Mitchell going in the D tier. Next, I'm going back to the B tier. I'm gonna put Dustin Poirier. I feel like this dude would be pretty well liked, you know? Um, he'd have some okay ideas for people. He'd be like, I think this dude, maybe we should give some support to, let's see, what's the country that's struggling? Maybe Germany. Like Dustin, he'd be helping out his fellow, allies. Let's give some money to the UK, dude. Be spending our tax money pretty well, I think. Um, I just feel like I think Dustin would do an okay job. I think there'd be some people that are kind of sour towards him and not like him, and he would lose some votes like that. But other than that, I think he'd be pretty chill. So that's why Dustin's in the B tier. Next, we got our second to last C tier entry. I'm gonna put Colby Covington. I mean, basically the exact same thing as Strickland. He's got some good beliefs. He's pretty extreme with his beliefs, but they're chill. He likes his guns. He likes freedom. He likes this. He likes that. But Colby comes off as very brash and arrogant to a lot of people. That's why a lot of people don't like him. He crosses the line a lot. Doesn't really know where to stop. And I feel like he would just get hated after getting elected into like a term. Like this dude would not get a second term in office. People would live 4 years being run under him, and they'd be like, "Yo, why did we elect this guy?" Right? And yeah, I just don't think Colby would be very liked. So that's why Colby Covington is in the C tier. Next, I'm gonna go for my last C tier entry, just because why not? Brandon Moreno. I think people would like this guy because he's like such a jolly little dude. Just cares about his Legos and anime and video games. He's a nice little guy, but well, he's Mexican, and I feel like a lot of people wouldn't like that. And second, he kind of just babbles sometimes. You don't really know what he's saying. He's just like, it's not even he's speaking Spanish. He's speaking English. Just it's really hard to understand. Like we went on in the commentary for UFC Noche. It was just so hard to understand this dude. Which I think he'd have really good intentions, maybe a few good concepts, but I just think he'd have a hard time pulling it off. So that's why he's going into C tier. Next, A tier candidate. This one will be a little confusing, but I'll explain why. Kamaru Usman. Now, I feel like Usman would have some pretty terrible ideas, but I feel like he'd be able to make us some good relations with some random countries. And I feel like he'd just lie. And people believe a lot of lies that these politicians say. I feel like people just believe anything that Usman says. He'd be like, I think you guys have been pretty good citizens. I'm gonna give everyone a 10% raise. People be like, 10% raise, that's great. I want a 10% raise, and he'll get all the votes. And it'll be like, guys, I was lying. I can't actually do that. Like, when Leon kicked me in the head, I thought like, maybe I would get a little raise or whatever because, I was a good champion and stuff. Just like how the UFC kind of screwed this guy over, he would kind of screw us all over just by lying and stuff. Um, yeah. Usman, like I said, he'd make some probably good relations, along with probably Connor. I think some people would enjoy his humor. Maybe Costa could make some good relations too. But Usman would just lie, and I feel like that would, he would lie, maybe cheat the election. I think maybe he'd like put some fake ballots in. If he's running against Colby or whatever, I think he would take some of Colby's ballots or whatever and just put them in his box. Like, they'll never know, dude. They'll never know. And yeah, I think he would lie and cheat his way into office, and then just do a pretty bad job, but people would still vote for him. So yeah, that's why he's in the B tier. Next, last entry before the S tier, Tom Aspinall. I think the U.S. That's a terrible Aspinall impression. I gotta work on that. I think the U.S. needs a guy like me in the office. I think that they'd really benefit from someone like me. I feel like Tom would do a pretty good job, pretty solid. I think his dry humor would be appreciated by a lot of people. He seems like a pretty level-headed guy. I think um he would do some good for the country. Even though he's a Brit, I think he would still do okay. I think people would like him. And yeah, I don't think he would do too bad at all. Last in the S tier. This guy shows up in like most of my videos, but you know, I think he would do a pretty good job, honestly. Moicano. Listen, dude, I don't know if you've ever heard this guy's. Oh, let me. Actually, I gotta fix this real quick. This little black box. Yeah. I don't know if you've heard this dude's like post fight press conferences, but he honestly kind of knows what he's talking about when it comes to like economics and stuff. And he's just a very patriotic dude. You know, I want to be on the SWAT team. I want to shoot people. I want to shoot the bad guys. Paddy Pimblett, I'm gonna break into your house and I will read to you a law of economics and government property. He would just kind of I feel like everyone would think he's really funny. Think he would get a lot of votes from people just for his humor and how he actually kind of understands what's going on. He's pretty smart when it comes to this sort of stuff. I think people would appreciate that. He knows actually more than most people in the US about like I don't know economics and how the country works and stuff. And yeah, like I said, I think people just appreciate him. So yeah, that's my tier list for fighters I would elect as US president. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next one, which should be about a rant about boring fighters. So anyway, yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.